We are excited to welcome Laura North to chat with us at this year's ADRBC 2018 Symposium. And she is a coach. She's founded True North Coaching, and she's been a coach for 18 years. So it's really exciting for us to talk to her. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you so much. It's really exciting to be here.
That's great. We were chatting just a little bit before, and one of the things that I thought was really interesting is how you deal with coaching with families. And for some of us that deal with a lot of this, and we get really entrenched in the thinking that family disputes mean separation and divorce, but that isn't necessarily the case. So what does that sort of look like for you and where you engage with families?
Yeah, I often get called in by people who are working with family businesses as things are starting to, there's friction or there's succession planning or things are starting to happen, and that person can identify that there's one person in the family that could use some extra support to gain clarity, to have a stronger voice, to be a more dynamic member of the family. So I get called in to work just individually with that one person to support them to get, again, clarity and figure out not only their own personal life, but who they are within the family as well. So I get called in long before there is divorce or separation or a full breakdown, hopefully to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
Yes. So I noticed that you're speaking today on the ADR family business panel. When we're looking at like family business disputes, when should somebody reach out and get a coach involved?
Really, when you can see that there's inequality in the strength of the people that are in the dispute, where you can see that somebody is either struggling in their own personal life or their relationships, they're making assumptions, there's lots of triangling going on, where you can see that that person needs somebody in their corner, being their cheerleader, pushing them and encouraging them to be a stronger participant within the dynamic.
Yeah. Do you have like an example in mind of, you know, because you've been a coach for a while now and successfully running a coaching business. So I'm just sort of curious if there's an example that you can give us of where you've worked within a family business and what particular indicators you saw at the outset that you're able to actually coach someone through and to make a bit of a breakthrough into somewhere different and more effective.
I was working with a gentleman at one point, and he was very focused on winning, on getting what he wanted. And there was a push without really an awareness of the other people in the family or even of his own vision. It was just all about winning. And so he came to the coaching and was asking me about, you know, how he should go about in this particular meeting that was coming up. And so rather than engaging him where he was already going, I asked him, I said, what's your reputation as a businessman in Vancouver? Which kind of took him aback. And so he described that. And then I said, who would you like to be known as a businessman in Vancouver? So then he really stopped and started to unpack, you know, if he could design who he wanted to be known as a businessman in Vancouver. And I said, and what would you like your family? What's the reputation you would like? What would you like your family to be able to say about you as a member of the family business? And so we unpacked that a little bit. And so then I said, you know, when you go into this meeting today, if you were that man, how would you be? What would you do differently? What would your focus be? Where would you sit at the table? What would you wear? How would you enter the room? And so we really pulled apart all the little pieces. And it was absolutely delightful for me to have him call me a few days later and say, Laura, for the first time in my life, I loved who I was as a business person. He goes, and I got a little bit of what I wanted. So there was a win-win for him, and he could see that focusing on who he wanted to be and really who he was brought about the success he was looking for in many, many spheres.
It's great to hear about that kind of alignment between what he wanted to be and how you're able to sort of support him in being who he wanted to actually be through that.
Absolutely.
And that it had good results for him in the end on a business level too. Yeah.
It was great.
Well, thanks so much for taking some time out of your symposium day to chat with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.